Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Marguerite Rigoglioso. I'm the founding director of Seven Sisters Mystery School. And I want to warmly welcome you to this live Facebook event with Lisa Wechtenhiser. Lisa is a level 4 Dove Oracle Priestess. That means she has taken the Priestess of the Dove Oracle training all the way through up to level 4. And she is ready to roll today with some very intriguing and interesting questions. Just to give a little background on Priestess of the Dove Oracle training, this is a training that allows women to access what is actually their natural birthright, which is their ability to access what I call divine Sophia Oracle wisdom, your ability to connect with your knowledge, with the Akashic records, with all that is known and to be known. And this is something that is a natural part of the human organism, but because of all the veils and layers that have gone on in our world, in our society, preventing us getting in the way of that, many of us do not have access to that ability. So we have to try a little extra hard, and it's helpful to have tools. And the Priestess of the Dove Oracle training helps with that. So Lisa, welcome.
Thank you, Marguerite. I'm so glad to be here.
Happy to have you here. Okay, so we're going to start in with some provocative questions. And what I really like about Lisa as an oracle is that she can basically answer any question. She's very skilled at this. And Lisa, what we're going to start with is a very interesting question. So some of these questions you're more familiar with the answers. Some of them you're less familiar with the answers. So we're gonna ease into this a little bit. The question here is, why do we resist doing things that we know are good for our well-being while craving things that are detrimental to our well-being? I think this is something a lot of people can identify with. What do you have to say about that, accessing your divine wisdom?
Well, such is the human condition that asks us to sample everything. And so what can you gain from desiring things that may not be quote unquote good for you? And what can you gain from not walking toward a path that is very clearly laid out? So I would say that it is completely and utterly human to learn by contrast, to learn from all different kinds of experiences. And just because the path is clearly laid out for you doesn't mean that you'll travel it. And if in fact you find yourself going down a road that is not, quote, good, unquote, ask yourself, what from that choice can I take moving forward? Because perhaps there is something that you need from that road that will support and elevate you in your other pursuits. The other piece I would say about that is, what if you entered into it with no judgment? And what if you solely chose what your next step would be based on what your soul, your heart tells you? And what if you just walk down that path in order to gain the experience and be open to what happens? Because when you truly learn to trust that piece, when you can trust your heart and soul to guide you, then there is no wrong path. There's always only learning and growing.
So would you say that if people feel like they've made mistakes, it's never really a mistake per se?
Correct. That is how I am being guided to look at it, that all is always in divine order. And so what if you held no judgment? And what if you just gently redirected yourself? What is my heart telling me? What is my soul telling me?
Where does that resistance or that disconnect, that resistance to or that disconnect from what is actually the most aligned path come from?
so much noise, so much sourcing authority outside yourself. And that seems to be endemic and particularly prevalent now. When you listen to your own inner knowing and really become partners with it, then it's much easier to follow that, even in the face of others telling you, no, go down this path, no, go down that path. So there's so much noise. And the work, certainly the work of an oracle, but really the work of anyone, is to become partners and friends with your inner knowing and use that to guide you. And sometimes it may be in the direction of the outside guidance, and sometimes, more often than not, it might ask you to step away from that guidance. And so all you are really being asked to do here is to learn the voice of your inner knowing and trust it.
And what recommendations can you make for people to access the voice of their inner knowing more so?
It's an excellent question. Practice, certainly, and a willingness to hear it. Because often you will find that inner voice tells you things that will ask you to maybe be uncomfortable, or it may share things with you that you don't really want to know, or you don't even really want to act on. And the choice is always yours, whether to act on it or not. But if you are willing and consciously willing, and certainly what we learn in oracle training, where you run energy and you connect up with that part of you that exists no matter what, you're just learning to connect up with it, helps. But the real work comes in practicing, trusting your inner knowing in every situation and then acting on it and see what happens.
Okay, good. If you were going to tell people one thing they could do to get more in touch with that voice, that intuition, what would it be?
Know that that voice sounds very much like you anyway. And so you can think that you're just talking to yourself, and you are, really. But don't expect that it will come as some voice out of the blue, like you must go down this path. Or you must go over here. Oh, dear one, move in this direction. It's never going to be like that. It's going to be the small voice that says, maybe you want to try this, or take a look at that. Because your own inner knowing has access to information, cosmic information that can support you. So if you understand that it can sound very much like you're talking to yourself, and just play with it. That's the guidance I would give. Play with it. None of this has to be so serious. Play with it. If you get some guidance, play with it and see what happens.
Okay, wonderful. I see that we have some participants here. Ariana Newcomer, one of our oracles, Ameho, and Debbie Wade from our level 2 training. Thank you. Welcome, ladies. Thank you. Feel free to post questions as well. That was a little bit of a warm up. We're going to shift gears now. And perhaps this is a little bit related to the question of why people are resisting things that we know are good for ourselves, or what is in the way of our connecting. But what do you think the long-term effects of so many people being glued to their screens, be it computer, tablet, phone, will be?
There are many, and then there are many that we will find out only in hindsight. So what I'm seeing right now is a loss of connection with the physical, because fourth dimension, so fourth dimension being a place where you can think, create, write, whatever, is really alluring because it's very easy. And so much of what we read online allows us to go into that space, somebody else's space, your own space, whatever. And things come very easily there. And you'll find that things do not come quite so easily in the third dimension. So once you kind of learn how easy it is in the fourth dimension through your devices. The desire to be more in that space is alluring. And here's the thing, always when you work in fourth, fifth, whatever dimension, if you are here in a physical body, you must bring that information into your life or you won't ever see anything change. So it's imperative that you really recognize that you're here in human form to have human experiences and hang out all you want in the fourth dimension, but bring that knowledge back. If you read an article and the article has a call to action, maybe try that. Maybe talk about it with someone or share it with someone in person. So ground the information. So this is kind of a new space I'm seeing where we're all floating in fourth dimension and so few are really truly being anchoring that knowledge. So it's all just floating out there. I'm seeing right now the importance of working with trees in order to help ground and support the information that you're learning on whatever topic that is. So I'm laughing because this is what they're showing me. Go outside and talk to the tree about what you've read or what you've created and share it with the tree. And I'm seeing the information go down into the tree's roots and into the earth, and it's nourishing the earth. So take what you get here and move it down and allow it to nourish the earth because it will then nourish you back.
Okay, so this is fascinating. So what I'm hearing you receiving is that when we're on screens, we actually enter into the fourth dimension. So this is kind of a nebulous dimension, somewhere between third, which is hard physical, and somewhere between fifth, which is almost like a light body existence or more of a consciousness existence that may or may not have a physical component. But it's like a never land type thing.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. And so it sounds also like what you're receiving is that there's a danger. You have to be careful about that. And that also what you want to do is integrate that information that you're getting from that fourth dimensional stream as soon as you can into your life by either implementing the advice or grounding it into a tree, conversing about it, grounding it into the earth plane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what I'm seeing with that is that the trees are eager for connection with us. And so it's really like, it's not for the trees' benefit, the information, but the connection is really important. And they're showing me like, if we stand on the roots of the tree, then that roots us in that information and that knowledge as well. And they're saying you can't just do it in your mind. Because I was just asking, can you do it in your mind? And the wisdom I'm receiving is no, you can't just do it because that's fourth dimension. Go outside and talk to a tree.
Yeah, so this is really important. And again, I want to welcome everybody listening live. Comment and let us know you're there. And if you have any questions, please, let us know. I'm getting comments about, gee, are you there? And yes, we are here. So there's a woman, Sylvia, who's looking for us. Hopefully she will find us on the Seven Sisters page. Let's go into this a little bit more deeply.
Okay.
What are some of the other ramifications of this addiction, if you will, to the devices now? And the fact that more and more they're connected to our bodies, there's going to be implants and so forth. What are you getting around all that?
Well, you mentioned the fourth dimension as from what I said about feeling like a never land. And so it's almost like a playground for other energies who are really happy to meet us there. And some of those energies certainly support the work that you are doing, but some energies do not. So it's really like a big playground where there are bullies and there are other ones. And so what you can get from that is certainly discernment But on a larger stream, you're opening yourself up to other energies that might not be beneficial to you. So limiting some of the time that you spend is beneficial. And also the part about grounding with the tree is helping remove some of those energies. I'm also seeing like a million different Neverlands. Like as many websites as there are out there, each one is a Neverland of its own. So it's like a, oh gosh, like a, not a planet, but I'm seeing kind of like a city. And so it's like going from city to city. And some cities you like the energy of, and some cities you don't. And discernment, thank you. Discernment is really the key to it all. And that means discernment on what you allow in your space, discernment on how much time you spend, and discernment around the fact that some of these places have very strong agendas that might be veiled. Oh yeah. Here's what I'm seeing is a city that looks really nice. Like I'm seeing Candyland, but underneath it, there's like a rotten core. And so it's kind of like you're lured in to that space, but the core of it is not beneficial. So discernment, always discernment. And that goes back to trusting yourself. If you connect with other people online and the energy does not feel right to you, use your discernment and step back.
Fascinating. All right. We've got Terry commenting, yes, discernment. Does it feel right and not according to your ego? If they are feeding your ego, it's a problem too. We have a number of people coming on. So this is intriguing, Lisa. Let's have you probe more about the kinds of energies that can come through the fourth dimension of the internet, devices, and all that. I think this is a really ripe area. Let's have you look into that more.
When you said that, I saw a door opening, and through that door was like infinity, and infinity was junked up with a bunch of stuff, like energies, and like I saw like darker energies. And so I'm asking my higher self, you know, what happens when you open that door? I know they're showing me the dark web, and the dark web is the place, it's a nasty place, and it has all kinds of unsavory, and that's the nicest way I can put it, energies there. And so nefarious is a word, yes, yes, yes. It's really important, thank you, that you have an intention of what you're doing in that space. Meaning when you open the door, you have an intention of what you will allow in your space, what your work there is. So there are people who work on the dark web, FBI people and whatever, who are seeking to get rid of those energies. Many more are there feeding off of what happens on the dark web. So yes, I want to convey, this feels really important, and it feels very dense, like we could spend hours on this. I want to convey that when you are in a space where you have consciously asked for that space to be sacred, to be protected, then you have every ability in that space to take care of whatever comes up. So know that you are a powerful divine being in your own right. And if you choose to go and open that door to other energies that are there, you have support from your guides and teachers, and you have your higher self, the divine part of you that knows all of this. So I'm being asked to share, don't go into it with fear. Go into it as a sovereign divine being who has the ability to address this. But your work has to be, before you do any of that, is to trust your own self.
Okay, this is fascinating. Yeah, we're getting a lot of appreciative comments here. what I really want to key into is this idea that it's a good hygiene practice before you go online, especially if you're going to go, quote unquote, do a search, or you're going to engage on Facebook, or you're going to engage on email or something, one of the other social media platforms, that you almost put like a little, well, number one, you said intention, you almost put like a little veil of protection, because it sounds to me like what you're saying is there are a lot of beings that can connect in and float, and kind of hook into your reality or get a rise out of you, so to speak, or take your energy. Look at Facebook for us for a minute. What happens on there?
Okay, that wasn't pleasant. What I got was like a porcupine with very prickly spikes. And again, not danger, because a porcupine cannot hurt you if you remain at a distance. So when I tune into the energy of, oh yeah, I see that. This is what I get. Come, be here, stay here. And it feels like, ugh. So I would say, again, and I'm saying this is my regular Lisa self, I spend too much time on Facebook. And what is your intention in being there? And what can you do to create that as a sacred space for yourself? So what I'm getting is that, yeah, it's a porcupine. Yeah, it's a come. So if that's the energy, then how do you maneuver within that? How do you stay sovereign instead of looking at it like, oh my God, I gotta get away from Facebook? You look at it like, what is my intention when I go there? How much time do I choose to spend there? And if the energy is not aligned with you that day, get off of Facebook. So that feels particularly prickly. That's the energy, not pretty and prickly. Yeah, that's a prickly planet, yes. In the Neverland, Facebook has its own planet and it's very prickly.
Wow, that's really intense. I mean, because I recently, in the last couple of months, deleted my connection with all of my personal friends and community members. And I just decided to leave Facebook as a place where I'm only working with people who are interested in my work in particular, but I'm not there as a social thing to say what I did, eat for dinner last night. So that's one way that I've decided to use it, as a public service platform, not a social engagement platform. And that's helped me mitigate a lot of that prickliness and that lure.
Yes.
Zooming down and, moving the cursor and just your eyes just going in that hypnotic way, down. Okay, well, we could spend a ton of time on this, but let's move into another, somewhat related, because we're talking about different energy beings that can come in. Yes, Ariana and Terry and Crystal and CP are all commenting that you're making some great points.
Thank you. I appreciate your all support. Thank you.
Yeah, you've got some people here. All right, so the next thing, Lisa, what do you think will be humanity's reaction to the discovery of extraterrestrial life?
The first thing I got was, yeah, we knew that. Yeah, we knew it. And it brings us back around to trusting your inner knowing. So conspiracy people, and there's a lot of people who look at those who believe, and I believe, who believe in beings from other planets as kooks, and they look down on it. And so it's challenging sometimes to bring it up. But there are those of us who just kind of know it, like, yeah. And so to some degree, others believe that also, but they are unwilling to claim it because maybe this is their first go around knowing it, right? Like, I know I've known this across all lifetimes because it's such a part of my, yeah, of course. Where would I get that? So it feels to me like humanity is going to be like, oh yeah, okay, we knew that, and it's okay now to come out and say we knew that. And I'm also getting the word partners. People are naturally curious about this, and they want to know more. But remember that there's that authority that says if you believe in Area 51 or whatever, then you're kind of a fringe kook. So their curiosity is kept within them. If they had the courage to speak out about it, they would find out they're not alone. So this is, yes, very much like when people started opening up about Me Too and others who were not able to speak about it. All they had to say was, yes, me too. And they were able to connect with people just in that knowing. It's going to be the same thing, where it's going to take some people coming out and going, yes, and here's what's going on, which they're already doing anyway, for others to feel safe saying that. So yeah, we knew it. We knew it all along is the reaction.
Wow. Okay. Because this is such a rich area, let's look a little bit more about this question of extraterrestrial life.
Okay.
What is it? And, what are the layers of extraterrestrial life that are possible here?
Possible here on Earth?
Yeah, that we are able to discern.
Well, certainly they're already here, and they don't look like alien or like ghosts or any of that. They actually look like and have taken human form, and so they're very comfortable in human form, and it really, they're showing me not spaceships, they're showing transmutation, and I'm seeing like Star Trek, where they used to just kind of like beam up, beam up. And they're showing me like how that figure, the human figure, would just kind of go in light and then poof, go off to somewhere else. That's exactly what I'm seeing, is that. And so they are able to travel. We can also travel. We just don't know that. That knowing is not widespread. But they know. And so they move around, they go wherever, because their point, I hear that, their point is they want to learn for themselves what these experiences are, but they also have things to teach us. So there may be a teacher who comes onto the planet and is only here a short time, and yet delivers a profound message, and then poof, gone. And so their work is very profound, but in small ways and big ways. That's interesting. Small ways, they're saying everyday interaction with each other, and big ways that some of them are very profound in what they share with us.
So are you saying that there are beings that can sort of come and go onto the planet without necessarily going through the birth process and all that?
Yes, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that once you're here, you're human, and you just kind of come into a human body, and then you're light. You're light. Yes, thank you. We travel on the light, they're saying. And so in a light beam, it's like a light beam comes down, poof, human, who seems like this human's always been here. So they're saying we travel on the light. And if you knew how quickly you could move, you would be surprised, right? The speed of light. Thank you. They're like, speed of light. Hello.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is a whole thing that I haven't even thought of before, that there could, I've heard of the phenomenon of walk-ins, people who, energies and consciousnesses who take over a human body, maybe at the point of a trauma, or if it's ailing, or there's just an agreement point where the original human soul connected with the DNA goes off, and then this soul comes in. But what you're talking about is literally a materialization, right? Of a full-fledged person who then must somehow present a history in order to be accepted by the human race. Or perhaps it is that they work in other ways, in other dimensions where it's not necessary for them to present as a human who had a birth, kind of situation. Are there examples of what you're seeing in this regard?
They keep showing me Amma, the woman who hugs everyone.
Oh.
And I keep seeing her that, because she can sit and hug people for 20 hours a day, like it's a little bit different, right? And so they're saying she did come into a physical body, but the light that illuminates that physical body is otherworldly. Okay, not a walk-in, but just there's a great illumination of light. And so what they're saying is we can all invite in a greater illumination of light within us to work in partnership with those beings who are here to do that. Who else? They're showing me, yeah, I know, right? Stephen Hawking, no longer in physical form. And so, yes, there are many that you would not be surprised if they were to tell you. And so that's the thing they want us to understand. When you allow the greater illumination within you, then you connect with them on that light space. So it's not even a vibration, it's a light space, like a shaft of light coming in through a window. You can put your arm through it and a shaft of light will show on your arm. That's where they travel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And Debbie is saying, I see this as well. And there are those who simply leave the planet the same way when they have a knowing that they are done with their mission. So, okay, very, very interesting. I mean, thinking about, and talk to us, we're going to spend a few more minutes on this. Talk to us a little bit more about, because when we say extraterrestrials, that sort of lumps it all into one thing. Give us a sense, though, of the different kinds, and are some positive, some negative, and, let's have some exploration of the territory of the quote unquote extraterrestrial domain.
I see a group of 3 walking toward me, holding open a box. And when they open the box, it's like a beautiful jeweled box. Then it opens and it's the light. And from that light, each particle is an individuated being. So they want to take us back to the concept of light and how many particles there are to just one shaft of light. And thank you. We all come to support and serve and to learn. Thank you. Okay, they just showed me like, they've got like a mission button that says support and serve and learn. And so it's really like, no, there's no nefarious beings, extraterrestrials, because they've all been through that. And they have all agreed with Creator that they would not do that. So they honor free will, they honor the light. That's why they come in on the light. Okay, they're showing me that if you think about the darkness and how dense the darkness is, there are particles within that too, but they're like embryonic particles, they're showing me. So this group that has come before me is sharing that there are no negative extraterrestrials. Right, I know. They're showing me like scholars. They're showing me children. They're showing me like all different kinds of what, we would call professions or different types of people. They are as varied as there are humans on the planet and beyond. So they said, don't try to put us in a box. That made me laugh because I was like, dudes, you already were in a box. Don't try to put them in a box. Open the box, let the light stream out.
Now, This is an interesting idea that there are no negatives, because we hear lots of stories of.
That's correct. This group that's showing up, I hear you. They said we speak for most extraterrestrials. Not all, you are correct. but we speak for most extraterrestrials, but our work is to educate those in the dark. Okay, so they kind of help those who haven't quite gotten it yet, is what they're telling me.
So could it be that the percentage of negative extraterrestrials is small, but because they have focused, quite a number of them have focused on planet Earth, we end up seeing as though there's a larger percentage of negatives?
Right, they're saying the perspective is very different. So as a percentage of the whole, you're correct, that it is very tiny and small. And we work with them to help them understand the importance of the light. The light is a big deal with them, really big deal.
So why then does Earth seem so besieged by, gray aliens with abductions and reptilian beings and, others who have their way
to everything? And so if someone allows that energy, and I see that they're showing me people with masks on their eyes, and so they're lost. And when you're lost, you're kind of wandering around, and they're saying, we can only help to the degree that someone allows us, right? Your free will. So if you're lost and you don't know that there's help, then their energy can get, I hear you, it's denser. Their energy is denser. They can get down here faster. Yeah, I see that. Yes. Okay, here's what they showed me. The light is very quick, fast, right? Denseness, darkness is denser. Therefore, they can reach their dimension much more quickly. But the energy, the light, they keep showing me that shaft of light can clear it out fast, 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 fast. So free will, humans do not realize what they have in free will. They have no idea. And because many are walking around in a not terribly conscious state, that they can invite in energies that are not supportive of that person's mission, work, but more in support of the energy's mission, whatever that is. So I got it. They're saying, don't be afraid. And all you need to do is invoke light, invoke more light, invoke the light.
Wow. Okay, that's great. I want to just pause and invite people who are watching to pose questions. We have one comment here. I've heard that people who get abducted had soul contracts to do that. Some of the ETs are upgrading our DNA, and those abductions are traumatic but necessary to upgrade our DNA. What do you feel about that, Lisa?
They're telling me again, and what I know to be true is that on some level, the soul has agreed to an upgrade. How that upgrade happens, the soul does not choose. And so some have chosen trauma to mitigate a lot of karma that has been happening. And within that upgrade, then they're free. They're freer. Yes, free will. And an understanding perhaps of what your soul has agreed to might be helpful to some degree, knowing what your soul has agreed to, if that's within somebody's willingness to know.
Okay. Yeah, because I find concern in these thought forms that are out there that these ETs are all doing it for our good, da 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 da. Meanwhile, these are usually traumatic experiences where people have their memories wiped, and there's very little good that comes out of it. So I'm not, what the information I receive is that basically no abduction is a good abduction. And I think what you just brought in is that soul agreements to evolve or upgrade can get wound in with karma that's needing to be completed. And then all of a sudden you find yourself in an abducted situation. But what we want to do is clean up this whole thing so that we can release karma and have our evolution without the interference of these beings who create all sorts of other problems and more traumas on the planet and in our lives. And then the cycle continues, which they love because then they get food out of it. So I think there's a lot of discernment that needs to be, stuff that needs to be untangled.
And you talked about that in level 2 when we learned how to burn contracts and to become conscious. And you might not even become conscious of the specific contract, but you can become more conscious that that exists as a whole, and then consciously work to release that.
Absolutely. And completely end your agreements to be taken over in any way, and work with the forces of positive evolution to release your karma in other ways. So that's my thought on that as well. All right. This is again another very rich topic that we could go into. Thank you for some real points of illumination you've brought through with that. Let's move to an even broader, more esoteric cosmic question. If the universe is finite, what would beyond the edge of the universe be like?
Well, the first thing I heard was, well, the universe is not finite. And so let's look at, well, what if it was? And so, okay. So the energy that I'm seeing beyond that is pure bliss. So if it was finite, and immediately upon, I don't know, leaving your physical body, and you just were like, poof, what I see is like the rings of Saturn, and it's just bliss and bliss and bliss. And that's all the universe is. Anyway, finite, infinite, that's all the universe is pure bliss and joy. And that's available now for people to tap into. Most do not, because like the rings of Saturn, they seem ephemeral. That's the word I'm getting, is ephemeral, fleeting. Like joy is fleeting in small moments. And they're saying, and what I'm getting, is that it's not, it's right here for others to take from, like a fountain. Okay, they're showing me those fountains at weddings where you put your cup under and it just, the fountain is automatically going, and you just put your cup under, like they're saying, enjoy a cup of joy, and joy, right? A cup of joy. And so my goddess self feels very maternal in wanting to say, like, everyone partake of the joy that is available, whether it's finite for a minute, yes, finite for a minute, or infinite forever. That joy is available to you in whatever way you want to take it. I know that was an interesting answer to that question. That's not what I expected.
Yeah, not at all. Because so the summary point is that the universe is not finite.
Correct.
And that basically its theme is joy, or its energy is bliss, essentially.
Yes. Correct.
So I'll have what she's having.
I will too.
You know, I mean, so then how can we begin to access more of that bliss, more of that joy on a regular basis, and have it not be so fleeting?
Choice, consciousness, asking for it, right? Asking for it to be more available. No, that's not the right word. Hold on. Not more available, because it's always available. Okay, you have to be the one that sort of, like, you have to put your glass under that fountain, right? So the fountain's not going to follow you around going, would you like some? Would you like some? Right? The fountain is there, right? With its joy and bliss just going through it. It's just streaming out. You have to make the choice to receive that. That's it. You have to make the choice to receive that. And that's something that all humans have difficulty with, is receiving and being willing. So if you knew that joy and bliss were available to you, like you could just go up to the fountain and put your cup under it for the day, like, I'd like a cup of bliss for the day, please, right? And then you walk around like knowing that you have that bliss, you have that joy, it's there, you've got it. What would things look like then, right? So what I want to share most about that piece is, it's right there sitting on that table like the fountain. You have to walk up to it. You have to acknowledge that it exists. There's going to be a lot of people walking by that table that don't even notice it, because their consciousness is not in a place yet to receive it, which is fine. That's their path. It's not a judgment. Their consciousness is just not in a place. They'll come to it or not. But if you notice it and you would like some, then fill your glass up every day. Fill your glass up and make a conscious, what am I saying? A conscious decision. That's not the right word. Gosh, they're showing me like promise or agreement with yourself. It's a C word, but I can't think of it. Commitment, maybe, to fill your glass up with what is flowing available for everyone, and see what things change, because that's how you know that the fountain's there, because things will change for you, but you have to notice it.
Okay, this is beautiful. So we're going to stay on. I'm inviting viewers to ask questions, and I do see some question that has come in that I'm going to run by you.
Okay.
Let me ask another question on this topic. Then what is, in a way, this goes back to the beginning question. What is the obstacle then to people putting their cup under that fountain of joy?
What if there's not an obstacle? What if there's not a block? What if it's just a choice? So, and you can say, well, the resistance comes in where, one, I don't notice the fountain, or two, do I have to do this every day? How come I have to do this every day? Or I put my cup under it and nothing happened. Like, those are the things that come up. And so, yeah, what I'm being shown is an Amazon package, and that's what I always get for this piece. When you order something from Amazon, you don't sit by your mailbox night and day and wait for it. You go about your life because you know your package is coming, right? Because that's been your experience, okay? Same thing here. Give yourself the experience of filling your cup and knowing that it's full, right? So there's no obstacle, there's only choice. So fill your cup up, you know that it's full, your Amazon package is on the way, and go about your life. I think that there's a sense that we want to believe there are blocks and resistance and love. And often it's really just a choice, and you either make it or you don't. And if you don't make it one day, try it the next day. It's not as if you don't fill your cup up every day for a week, then the fountain dries up and goes away, right? Okay. Fill it up as part of your commitment to your own inner being. Fill it up however you want to see that, whatever that means. Just fill that up and then go about your business.
Beautiful. Ariana is saying random acts of joy. I love that.
Yeah.
One person is asking, higher beings have been manipulating humanity's DNA forever. They are the caretakers for evolving consciousness within humanity. That's their job. We are evolving and ascending according to the plan. Lisa, what do you get about that? Do you agree with that? Or is there?
I would, my feeling about this is that there's not a plan. There is choice. There is, Creator gave us free choice, free will, free all of that. And so again, if beings are manipulating others on some level, there is an agreement to do that. And those agreements can be ended. I believe those agreements can be ended because you have free will of what comes into your space. You have consciousness and choice. But that requires an acknowledgement that you are sovereign, you own your own space. And for many, they would rather believe that they are victims because there's something that they have to get out of that victimhood, or they believe they have to get out of that. So I don't agree that there is a plan. That's my perception. And it's that, are we willing to allow other energies into our sovereign space?
Yes. And I want to add that I think humanity is at a critical juncture where we are understanding what sovereignty is.
Exactly.
And those of us who have incarnated into human forms at this lifetime are saying, stop the experiment. They're saying, hold your horses right there. First of all, there's been too many beings that have been manipulating the human form. They have had conflicting agendas half the time. Our bodies end up being the result of these conflicts, and then other beings trying to fix them, and we are here to just say, stop. We are actually, we are human, we are souls that come into these bodies with this formed DNA or this manipulated DNA, whatever it is. And we're here to have an awakening as souls, to say, no, we're sovereign beings, and we want to step up into divine humanity on our own terms, not according to some quote unquote DNA manipulation or plan by other beings. I think the goal here is for humanity to awaken to the game, say no, and say, we're going to do this ourselves. Does that seem to come in with you?
Yes, and I think, we are being shown in our political system what happens when you don't trust your inner knowing and someone is leading you according to their agenda, right? And so that's a good opportunity to come back and look at, what do I feel about this? What do I want? But it takes a great deal of awakeness and consciousness to own that you are responsible for what goes on in your life and what you choose to believe and what you don't. And many of us are not at that place yet. And many of us are. And many of us are hanging out in the middle, somewhere in the middle, running around with the bell, trying to wake everybody up. Wake up, wake up. And to know that the more we stand in our inner knowing, that goes right back to the inner knowing and why it's your partner. The more you stand in that inner knowing, the easier it gets to hear or feel or see what is your truth.
Yeah.
And the more that you can align with others and be in community with others who are in their truths as well. It doesn't have to be your truth, but those who are within their truth and they stand up and are authentically in their knowing, then that's a beautiful community of awakened beings who set the example for what it looks like.
Yeah, because we don't want to take this line down. I mean, we don't want to replace one form of paternal behavior and programming for another. Now it being, oh, all of this abduction stuff is for our good. We're upgrading our DNA. There's a plan out there that, is for our good. No, that is total paternal BS programming. And I feel that anybody who's in that program might want to double check it, because is that empowering, or is that just humans becoming sheep yet again, or getting a new program for how they can be sheep and accept stuff that affects us down here on the planet. Okay, and Ariana is pointing out that our sister dove, Jessica, has said, if it's not a voice of love, why are you following it? So
absolutely. Oh my gosh.
When,
Yes.
when you're discerning voices that and guidance that you're looking at, you know, where is it going to progress us into coming into our divine human selves? So we have a couple of minutes here, Lisa. Why don't we have you connect in to see if there's any further news, information, or messages from your goddess self?
Okay. One of my great spiritual teachers has said that the answer to every question in the universe is love. There is nothing that cannot be answered with love. And so in these very turbulent times where we are feeling particularly divided, to understand that at the core of this, at the core is love. And the fear energy is getting very stimulated. And love can help with fear. So any space that you are in, again, with your discernment, any space that you're in, bring love to that space. And that can just be an energy. You don't have to type out love for everybody, kumbaya. You don't have to do that. But your energy is one of beautiful love for all beings. And that's there, I got it. I'm being guided to that song. You remember that song, What the World Needs Now is Love, Sweet Love, by Jackie DeShannon, I think it was, from the late 60s. And that's the answer. What the world needs now is love. And so how do you bring that forward? And the other piece that I want to mention goes back to sovereignty. And it really goes back to, are you willing to take responsibility for creating your life and the circumstances that exist around you now? And to know that you're not helpless to change any of it. There is a sense that the hardest part is the doing. Like, let's say you decide to, you know, you're making a decision to leave a relationship. And the perception is that the doing, the actual leaving is the hard part. The decision is the hard part. And from there, then that gets easier in layers. So when you are thinking about something, that's the hardest it's going to be, is in making that decision, because choice is everything. So stand in your knowing, even if your knowing tells you something that is challenging for you.
Blessed be. And I'm just going to add, as a word of validation, a number of years ago, in a medicine ceremony, I received the guidance that in these times we would have increasing public fear and frenzy. There would be people meeting in groups, be it online or in person, where the fear would be so high and people are trying to grapple with something that's going on. And I was shown pretty much what you just said, which was you can have one person actually stand up in the room. Okay, so you were recommending beaming it out, but you can actually have one person stand up in the room and say, I realize and recognize that we're dealing with a lot of intense energies right now. I just want everybody to know that I'm going to be sitting here starting to radiate the love energy. And if anybody wants to join, I'm still listening, but if anybody wants to join me, I welcome you to do that. So they said that would be a kind of Pleiadian, if you will, method of shifting an energy in a group out of the fear, the third chakra gripping, the gosh, we're going to have to power our way to do this and that, into an expansiveness of seeing bigger solutions and bigger pictures. So yeah, just validating what you're saying. All right. So we've come to the end. Lisa, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who's been on Facebook and who will be seeing this live. Again, if you are interested in learning how to really open up your oracle vessel to access your divine Sophia oracle wisdom. We are still enrolling indefinitely the level 1 of the Priestess of the Dove oracle training. We're going to put that link under this video. You can check it out and you can register and connect with me. All right, everybody.
One more quick thing. I want to point out to people that when I came into level 1 and Marguerite's training, I was already very experienced at doing this, but I was guided to join. And even if you have no experience or tons of experience, it is an expansive, beautiful, life-changing training, no matter what level you go to, 4, 2, 1, whatever. And so if there are those of you who are out there who are like, well, I already know how to do this, trust me when I tell you, it's not like anything else that's out there, and I couldn't recommend it more highly. It's not a paid promotional announcement. It's from my heart, truly.
Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. Yeah, and I've definitely seen you grow in so many ways, both with your one-on-one client work and also the kinds of information that you're accessing and what you're doing in your own sacred ministry. So you are a very good example of, one of the paths that women can follow. And thank you so much for all the work you're doing and for being here today.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
All right, with that, we're going to conclude, and goodbye for now.